Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Casey, where we take a little time out of our schedule, go over things that are affecting the real estate market, things that will help buyers and sellers, things that will help the agents here at Sampson Properties. Today, I actually prepared a little bit more for this because today what we're going to do is we're going to take a very complicated issue and we are going to try and make it very simplified so that people can understand how it affects them, sellers, realtors, and buyers to the best effect. So with me today, I'm proud to announce I have my lovely daughter Morgan, who took me 2.5, 3 years to get Morgan to leave her job. She was a professional salesperson. She did pharmaceutical sales. She did high-end copier sales. She was absolutely the star of her company. So I've worked for 2.5 years to try and get her into the real estate market, get her working with me, her sister Kelly, Uncle Pat, and she's going to be a great addition. In fact, the first 2 open houses Morgan did, she sold a $1.75 million house on her first open house, first weekend. And then she sold a $1.8 million house the next weekend. Now, the $1.8 million house that we sold actually appraised for $1.675 million. So she sold it for $125,000 more than the house actually appraised for. So that's a pretty good task. So one of the reasons why Morgan is here is because of the complexity of what we're going to talk about. Anytime I get to something where Morgan does not understand what I'm talking about, is kind of an educating Morgan show where we're going to try and take this subject so everybody knows it when we're done. If I get too complicated, which I've known to do, then Morgan will stop me and we'll go back and I'll just try and redefine what I'm talking about. But first of all, the show is about the number one question everybody asks. I just had breakfast at the Vienna Inn. First thing out of Marty's mouth was, how's the market? Any realtor walks into any place, they'll say, how's the market? Okay? Now, the next words out of the realtor's mouth are going to be awesome, great. The market's great. It's always great. Realtors are advocates for the market. Advocates meaning they are here to help sellers and buyers. So they're always optimistic, they always have that. But you have to be extremely realistic about what the market really is, okay? So let me define the real estate market. So when somebody says new home sales are up, and you see this in the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post, that really means nothing to us because real estate is a very segmented market. In fact, it can be right down to a neighborhood. So you have defining characteristics of certain markets, and they are called submarkets. So let's explain. Vienna market is different than Haymarket, which is different than Oak Hill, which is different than Arlington, which is different than that. So let's take Vienna for a second. Vienna has over 100 submarkets. Well over 100 submarkets. Now, let's just take some basic markets, basic submarkets in Vienna, okay? You have homes that are over $1 million, and you have homes that are under $1 million. Those are 2 markets, because somebody's selling a house in the 700s doesn't really care what's happening in the $1.4 million, and vice versa. So we have that as one big submarket. We also break it out into zip codes. 22180, over $1 million. 22181, over $1 million. So those are other submarkets that you really have to define. How's that market doing? Let me give you an example. So 22180 over $1 million does have 53% of their houses are under contract, which is fantastic, great market. Whereas 22181 has only 22% of their houses under contract. So when you say how's the market over $1 million, well, it's great in 22180. It's not great in 22181. Why is this important? This is important because we need to know whether the sellers are in control of a market or the buyers are in control of a market. if I'm going to list someone's house, and first let me go back for a second, and let's say what defines a good market or a bad market. You can come on in. You can come on in. You go ahead and have a seat if you want. Sure. So let's talk about what makes a submarket and what makes this and that. There are sales. You'll read sales are up or down. Well, I got news for you. Sales are down in Vienna 33%. Sales are down in Oakton 33%. Sales are down in Centerville 25%. They're down pretty much in most markets. Now, some markets are stable like Ashburn and Oak Hill, but a majority of the markets are currently the sales are down. Now, what does that mean to sellers? It means nothing to sellers. It means something to realtors because that means the volume of sales are down and the realtors may not be making as much and the mortgage brokers may not be making as much. There's not as many transactions. But does that really mean anything to a seller? And the answer is no, it does not. What really affects a seller is if 10 homes in your market are on the market for sale, how many of those houses are under contract? Well, sometimes, like in 2015, we would come into a market in Great Falls and there was 42 homes on the market. Not one was under contract. So I walked into that market and the seller says, well, what do you know about Great Falls? You ever sold any houses in here? I said, no, you've got 42 houses on the market, none of them are under contract. So whoever's doing it out here is not really good at it, if you don't mind me saying so. And so we put it on the market. Within 30 days, we had it under contract. And at that point, there was one home between $1.5 and $2 million under contract, and that was our house. And the rest of them were still sitting there. So when you look at how's the market, well, how's your market? How's the market between 1.5 and 2 million in Great Falls? Well, if I'm selling a house for 850? How is the market between 800 and 900 in that school district and that thing that are colonials that have this size and this age? So it's the defining characteristics of what you're looking at. Wes, well, come on in, man. We got a hell of a studio audience today. How are you? Have a seat there, superstar. By the way, if anybody has any questions, let me know. So we're talking now about going from where are sales? What does that mean? It means nothing. Your market, your submarket, what condition is that market in? How many homes out of 10 are under contract? Now, there's a place that I've created, okay, where you can go to and you can look at some of the markets that we deal in. So if you go to viennapricing.com, you will see sales are down. What does that mean? Not much. But here's where the markets stand. 43% of the houses over 1.5 and 2.2 are under contract. That's a great market. This market, not so much. Weak market or buyer's market. New homes in Vienna, which is a market unto itself, has 8% of the homes under contract. 8%. So that means if you got, 50 houses, 4 are under contract. So what does that tell you? If I'm a realtor, what does that tell you? If I'm a buyer, what does that tell me? If I was thinking about buying a new home, I'd get off and I'd start looking for new homes right now because that is a buyer's market. That is a buyer's opportunity, okay? So again, the new homes market, and it gets even more complicated. Again, I'm trying to not be complicated, but let's just take Vienna over 1 million. Let's take the new homes. That's a submarket of a submarket of a submarket, right? Now, what are the new homes doing in the Vienna Elementary School District versus what are the homes doing in the Cunningham Park School District? Well, maybe the homes in the Vienna Elementary School District sell the second they come on the market because people want to move into the Vienna Elementary School District. But what happens if Cunningham Park? So a builder came to me and he said, well, I bought a lot. I'm going to build a house. It's going to be 1.6 million. I said, what elementary school? Well, I don't know. Well, it's about $100,000 question because the difference between a home in one school district and another school district is clearly $100,000. So the builder then has to understand that market and has to build accordingly. So are you going to put a Sub-Zero into that lower market? No, you're not. You're going to put a Genair. Are you going to go with Wolf Appliance? No, you're not. Can you get away with that in Vienna Elementary School District or Flint Hill or blah, 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 some of those? Sure, but not here, not now. So, you know, a builder and a realtor have to get together and build what's appropriate for that market. So in understanding the market conditions, you have to go in, you have to look at what your general submarket is, and then when I come in, we get very granular with our markets, very granular with what are the defining characteristics of this house. Now, when you go to viennapricing.com, we have on there, this is what you can get for $850,000. And you'll see that, the house, and you'll see a list on the right-hand side called Defining Characteristics. How do I know that house is worth $850,000? What makes it worth $850,000? Well, it's 3,200 square feet. It was built in 1985. It was da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So all those defining characteristics are the submarket. So I don't care what $1 million or $1.2 million houses sell for over in the north side. I care, what does an $850,000 house sell for in this school district that has this characteristics, that has that age? That's all I care about. That is a submarket into itself. So when you are pricing a house, you look at square feet as a defining characteristic, the age, the type of house, the upgrades they have, the lot, all of these things are defining characteristics. Then you have to look at the market. Well, how's the market doing? So let's say I come up and I say, this house would normally go for about $860,000. There's 10 houses on the market, 2 are under contract. We better stay under the proper threshold so that we get the maximum amount of buyers in here. So instead of getting aggressive and going after 875, the market would tell me, you better keep it under 850. So this is what I'm talking about. Now let me tell you how important this is. And today's market is really tricky. It's really, really tricky. It's a different market. The inventory is low. The buyer demand is low. And that's why you're seeing everybody down in my markets 20, 25%. So they're down and they're low, okay? But should you take a house, even with low inventory, and overprice it $25,000, you will hear crickets. You will hear crickets. You will not, those buyers are smart. They're very smart. They're very good shoppers. They're not going to pay overprice just because there's a limited supply of inventory in the market. The demand just is not that strong. So basically, economics says demand and supply, right? How many people are going to come in and how many people, what supply of houses do we have and what demand do we have from the buyers? Well, right now they're both low, okay? Now back in 2015, the inventory was way up here. I better use my other arm. Sorry, man. I had shoulder surgery. I can only get so high with that arm. So let me do, so in 2015, inventory was way up here and demand was right here, okay? It didn't keep up with the inventory. So sales, remember I said sales don't matter? Sales were up. But I'm looking at everybody going, that doesn't matter. Sales, it doesn't matter. The inventory is so high that prices are coming down because the demand does not equal the supply. So 2015, the sales could be higher than today, but the prices fell. Today, sales are way down, but prices are going up. Why is that? Because the demand is exceeding the supply by a little bit, not a lot. Your demand is a little bit higher than the supply, which means in some markets, and we'll go over submarkets, in some submarkets, they're doing great, man. Most markets, 16 out of 24 markets are a seller's market, and I'm going to go over some of them here in a minute. Some of them are in a neutral. We have one market that is in a total buyer's market, and what market is that? Builders, a new home market in Vienna, okay? So let's take a look at, can you bring that up on the screen there, Julie, or Leslie, if you can? So this is a chart of the territories that we monitor closely, and we produce websites like oaktonpricing.com, viennapricing.com, centervillepricing.com, and so on. So you see Haymarket, Westfield, Ashburn, Oak Hill, Vienna, Oakton. So those are our primary markets that we produce pages for, because I'll be sitting into a house today with somebody in the Oak Hill, and we're going to be talking prices. So that page is important to them. The other one I'm going to be meeting is in Oakton, and yesterday I met with two in Vienna. So these pricing pages are important for sellers to know, A, how's the market? Forget about the sales. Let's just focus on what's under contract, what percentage is under contract. And, so how's their submarket doing? So they need to know this when we go in and talk, all right? So the first one shows the sales. Again, I say it means nothing to you sellers and buyers. It means everything to the realtors. It means sales are down, okay? In our markets, they are. The next one that we can go to, I'm hoping we get to, is got the green bars up, and this is the homes under contract in June for 2018. Now, you can look at this, and these are for the entire submarket, which is Oak Hill. So let's call that a big submarket. So 60% of the houses in Oak Hill are under contract. Now, if you were thinking, I don't know when a good time is to sell. It's a good time to sell. If you got 60% of the homes under contract, it's a great time to sell. If Vienna under $1 million is at 59%. Westfield in the Westfield School District, and we take Centerville and break it up into two submarkets, Westfield and Centerville High School. Westfield High School, Centerville High School. That's the way it's broken up. So at Westfield, 55% of the houses are under contract. And let me show you the difference. Why don't you just say Centerville? Okay. In the Westfield School District, 55% of the houses are under contract. In the Centerville School District, 30% are under contract. So is both markets the same? Of course not. One's a heavy seller's market, and the other's kind of a neutral market, kind of a, 30% are under contract. So as you can see along this list, Vienna over $1 million is at 46. Now, that number is usually 15 to 16%. So that's telling me that if somebody is over $1 million, that's a hell of a market. Because remember this, 37% or 38% of the houses will withdraw because they were overpriced. And let me stop for a second and talk about this for a minute. Realtors want listings. Realtors want your houses. Realtors want to list your house. Some of them will put on any number you want to put it on for. Now, I have a meeting next week with a client. Their house is listed at, I don't really want to say, it's under $2 million. Now, it was listed for $2.25 million. The house is worth $1.7 million. It was listed $550,000 too high. So in these numbers are homes that were just overpriced. Whether the realtor didn't know, or they were just trying to get the listing, or they wanted to have a big listing they could put in the newspaper, or for whatever reason, 37% of the houses. Now, imagine me walking in this house and telling a person, proving to them, I know they said it was $2.25 million, but let me tell you what it really is. And to be honest with you, that's the right number. So understand that even though you have 55%, a lot of these were overpriced, and of course that's why they're not selling. So if it's well-priced, good condition, and marketed properly, and we'll talk about that too a little later, then those homes are going to sell. So what this tells me is, how they say full employment? This is full employment. 50, 60, 65%, that's full employment. That's full sales. That's every house that was marketed correctly, listed correctly, right condition, right price is gone like that. Solid markets. So that is Ashburn, Westfield, Vienna under $1 million, Oak Hill. Vienna over $1 million, 46, off the charts great. Sellers are going to sell over $1.1 million in Vienna, awesome. Haymarket, 43%. Oakton, 34%. It's a normal market. That is a normal market. 33% is about what I would call a neutral market. Neither sellers or buyers have control of that market. So I'm going to have a meeting today with somebody in Oakton And we need to go over the fact that, they're not kicking doors down in Oakton. We really need to be competitive. We really need to work on pricing and condition and everything it takes, because out of 10 houses on the market, only three are under contract. So same with Centerville School District. Vienna New Homes, 8%. So that's a buyer's market. So if Leslie, who's making big bucks now, right, comes to me and says, I need to buy a house for about $1.3 million. What does this chart tell you? We're not going to go after resales, because resale is pretty much seller's market. Sellers have control of that market. But the new homes, buyers have control of that market. So let's at least, even though you think you couldn't afford it or not sure whether you wanted a new house, I think we need to look at the inventory of new homes. Now, we had Morgan drive around yesterday, and we're literally tagging and prepping every new house in the market to find out which ones are really built and which ones are going to be built and which ones are, how complete are they, what's the exact inventory, because we're putting a push on the buyers to go, look, if you're looking for a new home, we're ringing the bell. It's a buyer's market. So that's what this green chart tells you, okay? The next chart I'm going to bring up is, this is basically the 24 submarkets. So what's a submarket? Vienna has 7 submarkets. Over $1 million, under $1 million. 22180, 22181, 22182. New homes, and the zip codes are under and over $1 million. Okay? So basically, you've got seven submarkets, and again, in each submarket, I can find you 10, 15 sub-submarkets. Okay? So every house you need to get, this just says overall market, this is what it is. Buyers, sellers, or whatever. But when I'm listing your house, I need to get granular. We need to take that submarket, and it needs to have what's called defining characteristics, and we'll talk more about that as we go through. So how many of those 24 markets, what have we got? Well, the first one is the really strong markets. You have 5 markets over there that, sellers are just, they always say, sell when they yell and buy when they cry. So the sellers are yelling. And those 5 markets, they are yelling. On the 11 that are sellers markets, they're still yelling, just not as loud. Okay? There are 5 markets that are stuck in neutral, not too good, not too bad, pretty much boilerplate stable. There are 2 buyers markets that I would say in all of these markets, and 1 strong buyers market, which we all know what that is. Now, I don't want to blow anybody's head off, and I don't want to freak anybody out, but this is what my worksheet looks like. I'm going to throw it up on the screen real quick. And this actually breaks out the submarkets and how I calculate them. So you see all those light greens? Okay, those are positive markets. Those are buyers markets. Dark greens, those are the super strong markets. And I just want to point out, so Little Rocky Run. Is Little Rocky Run having a good market or a bad market? Okay, well, it's in Centerville. Sales are down, not too hot. I don't know. Well, the single-family detached homes are 28% of them are under contract. So what does that tell you? Not a really good market, is it? 100% of the townhouses are under contract. 100% of the townhouses in Little Rocky Run are under contract. Now, do you think the sellers in Little Rocky Run townhouses need to know about that? Do you think if you were ever going to sell a townhouse in Little Rocky Run, now's the time to do it? There is 0 inventory. So, the opportunity is the townhomes in Centerville, Little Rocky Run, the townhomes in Ashburn, 71% of the townhomes in Ashburn are under contract. That's pretty crazy. So let's just wander out to Ashburn. And I hope, all I'm trying to do is, I'm not trying to get too granular with everybody. I'm just trying to show everyone that when you say how's the market, it's a loaded question. It's not how's the entire market is fine. We'll always say that, right? The buildings could be burning down. It's like, hey, it's fine, man. Don't worry about it. Hey, we're getting good deals. The roof, 2009, the bottom is falling out. Get those deals. Still falling out. It was falling out for a couple of years. So, always a good market. But this tells you when you look at the submarkets and when you look at the what's under contract, the percentage of homes under contract, this will tell you that Ashburn Farms, there's two major subdivisions in Ashburn. One is Ashburn Farms and one is Ashburn Village. 80% of the homes in Ashburn Farms under contract. So when I do a listing appointment on Friday in Ashburn Farms, is there a big difference between Ashburn Farms and Ashburn Village? Yeah, you bet it is. Can we get a little more aggressive? Yes. If I've got 10 houses on the market, let's just assume that 30% are overpriced, right? So 30%. So, well, they've got 80% of them are under contract. So all you got to do is get close, right, in that market, because you know some of them are crazy overpriced, but that is full employment. Anytime you get over 60%, you are, if it's under contract, if it's priced right and it's condition, it's done. Stand by for multiple contract presentations. And that's a whole different show. But, there's a protocol for multiple contract presentations. So I don't want to blow you away with this, but I just want people to see the worksheet that goes behind these charts and how granular you have to do when you're understanding the market. Does that make sense? Did that make sense?
It does.
Do you?
You're explaining it well.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right. As long as you're happy, Mark.
Rich market.
Well, sometimes I feel like, I tell you, I feel like the movie Groundhog Day, Bill Murray comes out and the lady goes, well, how's the weather? And he goes, well, there's a big storm front coming in. It's going to move off, but I think it's going to move to the north. It's going to miss us. He goes, or were you just small talking? And she goes, just small talking. So I'm the guy that's going, well, there's a front coming in from the left. And instead of just going, it's fine. Well, it's fine when you think that you've got to be able to analyze 200 to 250 submarkets at any time. But I say that, and it sounds complicated, but it's really not. All you got to do is find out, what's the defining characteristics of my submarket? So real simple, here's what it is. 3,200 square foot house, go up and down 10%. So I'm looking for 3,500, what did I say, 32? Is that what I said, 32? So let's say I'm going from 2,900 square foot homes above grade to 3,500 square feet. I'm looking for houses that are all built in 1980s. I'm looking for houses that are done within the elementary school of the target property that I'm dealing with. So let's say in Vienna, there's a difference between elementary school A and B. Okay, so I want to stay in that one elementary school when I'm doing my shopping, when I'm creating my submarket. Some places it's high schools. Falls Church. Falls Church, it's high schools. Falls Church High School versus McLean High School is $110,000 difference. Maybe 140. Big difference. Okay? So when I'm pricing a house, I can't say, well, give me a 1 mile radius, right? Because half of these are going to McLean and these half are going to Falls Church. So if I'm sitting in a Falls Church High School, can I actually compare myself to a McLean High School? That's where your pricing comes in. That's where they misprice themselves. You have to understand the defining characteristic of, and that's why these markets that I'm in, these specific markets, well, we've got experts in these markets. What's the defining characteristic in Oak Hill, right? Well, Franklin Farms may be doing great. Chantilly Highlands not so great, okay? You've got different high schools I go to. Some go to Oakton, some go to Chantilly. What are the defining characteristics of these houses? So basically, it's price, it's square footage, it's age, what type of house is it, if I'm going to compare it, what kind of upgrades does it have, what kind of yard does it have. Franklin Farms has half-acre lots, and they got 10,000 square foot lots. You can't compare the two. You got to compare it to the big lots, right? So in our pricing model, we have that. Now, let's just say that I'm going to price a house that has those defining characteristics, 2,900 square feet to 3,500 square feet. Same school district, colonial, that kind of age. I hit the button and it says 2. You have 2 houses in that market. Can you do that? How do you get it if there's only 2 houses? Okay? So here's the way you do that. I don't want to get too complicated. If I'm getting too complicated, you got to smash me upside the head. Go, Dad, too complicated. So now we're in that submarket. My submarket is just not big enough. I need to open it up, right? So how do I open it up? Okay. Well, I really have to stay in that school district because that's really the defining characteristic. So I can go to bigger houses and smaller houses. I can go to older houses and newer houses because in my pricing model, what I've done is I've said, if this house is 1985 and this house is 1995, then there's an adjustment for age. So once I get the price per square foot, and I put it in the adjustment for age engine. And then if the average is 3,600 square feet, not 3,200 square feet, I have an adjustment for size. So the higher the square footage, the lower that number is going to be. So so the reason I'm saying this is because a submarket is what you have to stay in to get the closest defining characteristics, right? If your submarket is not big enough to produce the comps you need, then you need to open up the criteria to get more comps. But you also need to take those comps and be able to bring them back to, adjust for size, adjust for age, and then get your price per square foot. So I can actually compare a 1985 house to a 1995 house just like that. It's nothing. And I can compare a 3,800 square foot to a 3,200 square foot just like that. So what that does is it opens up the criteria, it gives you more houses, it locks in the number. And I will tell you, you can lock it in by just opening up your criteria, but you have to adjust for age. And the bottom line is, think of this as your rule. If one is 1985 and one is 1995, it's 1% per year. That's your number. It's 1% per year. So let's just say, to have round numbers, let's say you have a 1995 house and it's $300 a square foot. And I don't want to get everybody confused, but let's say we're going to sell this house at $300 a square foot, but the comps are 10 years younger than my house. Got to adjust that $300 a square foot by 10%, $270 a square foot. See how we did that? We didn't have the right age, but we took another age and we just brought it down to our age. And there we had a reliable source of information. So you can't go in blind. You need to be able to expand the criteria so you can have enough comps for you to come at that number. You expand the submarket. Does that make sense? What?
Yes. Well, I was just going to say, so the most important thing is staying. So I was going to say the most important thing is staying in your submarket. Yes. Bottom line. I mean, whereas people go out of the submarket and just look for comps with the house instead of.
The bottom line is defining your submarket. Mm-hmm. Okay? So in defining your submarket, now, so let's say you go to viennapricing.com. Okay? You go to viennapricing.com and you look at the market and and you get down to the houses. This is what a $850,000 house is. And it has defining characteristics. That's the submarket. You can look right at it. That's the submarket. What's the size? What's the age? What's the lot? What's the location? What's the elementary school? When I'm saying, why was that house $1.8 million? These are the numbers I'm going through. That's the exact process. So if you want to know what a submarket is, just look at viennapricing.com or oakhillpricing.com or oaktonpricing.com or what's the other? Ashburn, whatever. What is it? Yeah, I've got oakhillpricing.com and westfieldpricing.com. You can see when you look at the houses that we do, and don't let me get out of here without talking about the Spark presentation. I want to talk about that because that's been a big topic for the last month or two. So when you go down those pages, you can see the defining characteristics. That's what I build my model from. That's my submarket. So if everybody walks away from this with, well, how's the market? Well, the market, sales don't mean anything. Up or down, it doesn't mean anything. Homes under contract is what means everything. And homes under contract in the defining markets that you live in, over $1 million or Oak Hill, Haymarket, Dominion Valley, Piedmont, perfect example. Haymarket, if you I don't know if you guys still have that up, but if you look on the worksheet, so on the worksheet, Piedmont has 53% of the houses under contract, okay? Solid seller's market, solid. Not full employment, but very solid, okay? Dominion Valley, 28%, clearly buyer's market. So how's Haymarket doing? Well, I don't know, Piedmont's doing awesome. Dominion Valley, not so much. Now, that could be lack of buyers. It could be unrealistic realtors and sellers overpricing their houses, putting too much value on them, not pricing them correctly. And while I'm there, I'll stop for just 1 second. Pat and I went out, we priced a house. This is the exact price of this house. Pricing expert. I cannot sing, I cannot dance, I can coach football, I can price houses. That's all I can do in this life, right? Lord only knows I can't sing and I can't dance. But damn it, you can come to a price on a house. So we put a price on a house. The local agents went to the seller and said, that's crazy. That's crazy number. So I went back and I looked at it. They put 12 houses on the market in the immediate neighborhood, and every single one of them had withdrawn unsold. They tried 12 times. They couldn't sell one. We had on the market, we had 4 contracts. It was bid over the appraised value with 4 contracts. So the seller didn't have a home inspection, didn't have to worry about the appraisal, because all we had appraised out was a list price. And the sales price was up here and appraised right here. So that $25,000 extra dollars, we got that. We put that in our pocket. They put that in their pocket. So the moral of that story is that a local neighborhood realtor may or may not do a lot of business, may know that market, but has a vested interest, an emotional vested interest in the price of those homes. I saw that house when it was worth $800,000. Guess what? Today, it's $675,000. That's what it's worth. In today's market, that's what it's worth. So a person that's lived in the neighborhood for a long time or has an emotional attachment or has a property in there, they don't want to say my property's gone down $120,000. They're not going to do it. This is an $800,000 house. That's an $800,000 house. Not today, it's not. Not in this market, it's not. Here's what it did. It was 800 here, then it went down here. Now it's recovered to here, but it's not up there. It's here. So sometimes, you talk about the difference between a neighborhood realtor and a hired gun, a professional pricing team or an agent. So, a hired gun or a professional pricer needs to go into every submarket and be able to identify the submarket and what those submarkets are and the characteristics, and boom, and it's done. So that could be the reason why one is at 53 and one is at 28. I don't know. But all I know is that's a buyer's market over in Dominion Valley, and that's a seller's market in Piedmont, and they're both in Haymarket. So both nice houses, both golf course communities, both lovely properties, very nice communities, both, tons of amenities, same transportation issues. Why is one doing good and one doing the other? You've got to know. So if I walked into Dominion Valley, I'm going to take a little different tack than if I went into Piedmont. I could get a little more aggressive in Piedmont, but I got to really watch your thresholds and criteria when you're talking about Dominion Valley. So that gets on with the market. How's the market? Next time somebody says, how's the market, you're going to think about it a little bit different, I hope. Okay? Any questions? Does that make sense to you, Wes?
Yeah. What about the days on market when you're looking at the sub-markets and the pricing?
Well,
Does that factor into your overall pricing?
It does. I'll look at that, and let's say all of the houses. I'm sorry. His question is, do I look at days on market when I'm looking at the comparables and what's on? Absolutely. Yeah, part of my pricing model is here's the days on market. So if we look at it and they're all selling in the first week, okay, and some of these have been on for 30 or 40 days, well, they just overpriced it, or they're just not very good houses. But if you go under contract, it's going to happen really quick. So in that case, we spend a little bit more time going over the protocol for multiple contract presentations. So a couple things are going to happen. One, we're definitely going to sell for higher than the appraisal. Definitely. And if you sell for higher than the appraisal, you got to give that money back, right? Unless you do it right, you got to give that money back. So, you know, I do look at days on market to tell me the good ones are selling and the bad ones are sitting, okay? There's big delineation, okay? And we'll go over with the seller a little bit more about highest and best offers, how this is going to play out, what we're shooting for. You know, clearly when I put a house on the market on Thursday, when everything sells in the first weekend, we call them one and dones. We tell the seller, there's going to come a contract in, and it's going to be all cash, and it's going to be right on your number, and it's coming on Friday, and they're going to say, this is not good after noon on Saturday. And if you don't accept this by noon on Saturday, then we're withdrawing it. It's like, I don't care. So know that's coming, we're going to throw it out. First of all, they'll always be back when the Monday contracts come in. They're always back. And two, I really don't care. I'm not shooting for, we know we've got the list price. What we're looking for is how much above list, how much down payment, how much concessions we can get on no home inspection for informational purposes only, no inspection. You know, all of these other criteria you're looking for when you're comparing contracts. So let's say you bring me a contract and you say, I'll give you all cash, I'll give you $20,000 over your list price, right? But you got to sign it today. I'm not taking it. You know why? Because he's going to give me $20,000. I probably could have got $25,000 or $30,000 over list price. And he's going to go do a home inspection. He's going to have 100 items on his home inspection list. You know how many of those he's going to want me to fix? All of them. But if I had a contract from you, a contract from you, and a contract from her, and I had 4 contracts, and he came to me, and we've had this, I had 115 items on a home inspection list. I said, well, how many of these do you expect us to fix? He said, all of them. You want us to fix 115 items? I said, fine. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to fix 3 items, right? Because those are electrical issues, they're safety hazards, they're disclosure issues. If I go back on the market, I got to fix them anyways. I can't put this house back on the market saying, hey, you got a fuse box with a 1 amp that's not fixed and it could blow up, it could catch fire. I can't go back on the market. I got to fix that anyways. So to him, it sounded something like this. I'm going to fix 3 items, and that's it. And if you don't like that, I'm going to contract 2, 3, and 4, and somebody's going to want this house. And he looks at us and goes, so you'll fix the 3 items, right? It's like, yes. Fine, we'll take it. Now, I never could have done that had I accepted his contract without the other backups. I could have never had any negotiating power unless I had backup contracts protecting me, standing behind me. That makes sense? So is it important to get multiple contracts? Oh, yeah. The one house I'm going to go to today, it's 40 years old. You know, brand new houses get 40 items on them. This house could go through a home inspection and have 100 items. So how am I going to protect myself against that? Multiple contracts. Multiple contracts. The number one reason why properties kick out of contracts is home inspection items. They don't have any contracts. You're being unreasonable. The seller tells you to go pound sand. The contract walks away. It blows up. Now you got to go back on the market. Now what are you? Right? You failed your home inspection. So you're damaged goods, and now you're back on the market. We never want to go back on the market. Never. We must have somebody backing us up. Does that make sense? Okay. So now I want to switch. We've talked about the markets. We've talked about identifying submarkets. We've talked about the defining characteristics of pricing and how you can expand your submarket to get enough comparables to give you accurate pricing, and that's what you really need. We've talked about the contracts. Now I'm going to flip over to something that's been happening for the last 2 months. So there's a couple things. We all know it's no secret that 95% of the people are going to see your house online. They're going to experience your house online. They're going to see all the cool things about your house online. So how are we going to present the house online? There's many different ways you can do it, okay? Now I'm going to tell you the best way to do it. Should I tell about the best way to do it? Should I shut my mouth? All right. Leslie already knows. She already knows. All right. So there's a couple things you can do. They have technology now that can create a dollhouse, and it doesn't have any walls on the outside. You can see the outside of it and look like this. You could put the pointer in the house. You can go right into the house. You can walk into the kitchen. You can turn your head around, look at the whole thing, and walk into another room, right? And that's a 3D model, okay? So we did those for a while. The sellers loved it. They listed, no problem. Oh, my God, you're going to use that? That's great. Oh, my God, this is so cool, okay? And then we watched. Buyers couldn't figure it out. They can't figure out how to get in there. They can't figure out how to get out of there. They can't figure out how to operate the whole damn thing. So their average time in there was 20 seconds. And they never clicked to anything to go through to more information on the listing. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, damn. It's really cool and sellers love it, but it's worthless. It's worthless if we're trying to sell the house. It's not really give me what I need. So we went to the movies. And the movies now, they have Steadicams. And the Steadicam walks you through the house, and it's got nice music playing, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's really good to walk through the house. But they only stayed on the movie for 20 seconds and then left. Why? It bored the hell out of them. Most people, she's not going to sit on and watch a movie for more than 20 seconds. She's got things to do, don't you? Are you busy? Right? So you guys are going to go in, turn around, I'm out. So 20 seconds on the 3D model, 20 seconds on the movie. They never click through to find any information out about the house. Right? So there's other things like Mouse on a House. You can go and click on a floor plan, click on it, see a picture of the living room. I get bored of that too. So that doesn't hold the attention of the buyers anyway. So there's a program out now. It's called Spark from Adobe. Okay? If you go, can you bring up 322airhill.com on your whatever thing you have there, Julie? It's there. Do you have that, Leslie? Okay. This is 322. Let me catch up with you guys. Airhill.com. This is pretty cool, guys. What this basically does is you want to burn the image, and I'm talking to realtors and sellers right now. You want to burn the images that you want that seller to walk away with. They're seeing 8 houses. They're going all over the place. It's, they're crazy. Burn images in their mind what this house really is. What are the top 10 things about this house? So you can take, the internet here is not good. So you can take a house like 322 Air Hill, put it on this Adobe Spark. Now what you do is you come up with these beautiful pictures. And so those are the 8 key pictures I want. And then scrolling left and right are the top 10 things I love most about this house. Key features about this house. Hot sheets on the house. So, and if you write down nothing else, Wes, this is what you want to write down. People don't read. They won't read a narrative. They won't read a paragraph. They won't read a story, but they'll read bullets. They'll look at the bullets and go, bing, 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 bing. That's all people have. That's the way they're set up for these days. Top 10 this, top 10 this, top 10 that, top 5 this. You always click onto that. That's the hottest thing going. So here's the top 10 things I love most about this house. I can walk to Vienna from this house. I back to Glendon Park. I have deer coming out in the back all the time. I can, walk to Bonaroti's for dinner at night. It's got this great patio in the back with a fireplace. I'm telling you what are the 10 things I love most about this house. You can't get that on this movie. You can't get that on that little camera thing. So you have bullets, and you have the hot sheet of what I love most about the house. Again, 50% of the people have never been to. I don't want to stay in Vienna all the time. We're all over the place. We're at Oak Hill, we're at Haymarket, we're everywhere. We're in Ashburn. But they'll go in there, and 50% of the people that are looking at your house, they've never been to Vienna. So they're looking at a Vienna house, like, oh, I don't know much about Vienna. Well, if you click that button right there, little picture, it says this is Vienna. You go to it, it's another Spark presentation about how cool Vienna is. Halloween parades, baseball, football, all the things, the locations, the day trips, what its transportation hubs, all information and entertainment. That's what they want. So this combines the eye candy of the key pictures you want to brand on their minds, and the bullet points of what are the key features of that house. And that's a Spark presentation. So you hook that into the address, 322airhill.com, blast it. Now, when somebody goes to that, okay, now we could monitor who sees things, how long you stay, who you are, woman or man, what's your age, how long do you stay. We see all that stuff. So this page, instead of 20 or 25 pages, and they also do videos on YouTube, and you can see how many times it was viewed. So these big listings that some of the agents do on YouTube, 20 times. No, 450 times. A Spark presentation is seen 450 times and shared. Right? Husband or wife sees it, ships it to the husband. Don't go look at the 6 pictures on Zillow. Look at this. Now, it puts the house, and I got to tell you, we got this great, I'm not going to tell you the guy's name, our photographer. Nobody talk to him because he's all mine. I'll keep that sucker busy. He's so good that his pictures are stunning. So you're looking at a stunning presentation with great pictures and all the bullets you need and links to viennapricing.com if you want to know about the market. This is Vienna if you want to know about Vienna, all these other things. So as far as a marketing to the public, you're trying to get them to see it, stay on it, share it, or hit your links on that site. And that one's what does it. So you know, the bottom line is the 3Ds are cool and the movies are boring. Very nice, by the way, but boring. And I think that's the future. That's where it's going. I'm surprised I don't see more agents using it right now. But you know, the problem with older agents like me is they're dinosaurs. You know, you get stuck on something. It's like, I've used mouse on a house for 27 years. Well, guess what? This is a whole new world, man. And if you don't use the new tools for your sellers to get the marketing, then you're missing out on that. So I think that's, as far as the new marketing, the new presentations, what works, what doesn't, it ain't 3D and it ain't the movie and it's not mouse on a house. It's the Spark presentation. Not hard to do, but I think, Leslie, you're going to give presentations on that. You're going to start working with the Sampson agents or something?
We're just going to show them the platform, not
Okay.
necessarily using it the same way, but
Okay.
different ways you can use it.
Yeah. It's, in my opinion, it's the way of the future. You go to any one of our houses, they all have their own website, and you can see how we use it. Also, I just want to remind everybody that that pricing websites that we've put up, I broke that. The pricing websites that we've put up are for, and Julie, catch me if I'm wrong on this, viennapricing.com, oaktonpricing.com, oakhillpricing.com, westfieldpricing.com, centervillepricing.com, ashevillepricing.com, haymarketpricing.com. I missed none.
There's a sub-market for Vienna, VA.
Right. So if you go to viennapricing.com, there's a link that takes you to Vienna under $1 million, but we also have it listed under viennavapricing.com. That'll take you to the under millions. So you can stay up to date on the market. I will have those updated by the 5th of every month. So the question of how is the market will be answered on the 5th of every month. And hopefully I get it up by the 3rd, but no later than the 5th, okay? And just so you understand, that little sub-market, that, going in and saying what's under contract, we do that every day. I mean, that's got to be done for every house. And it's not, give me Oak Hill, give me the 2,200 square foot colonials that are 1985, up or down 5 years, and that's my sub-market. So boom, there it is, very quick. I often say that, our offense I coach football, the offense may look complicated, but you got to keep it simple. We only run 6 plays. We run 6 plays, but we run them to both sides, so that's 12. We run them out of 4 formations, whatever that is, 48. And we run them with 4 motion packages, so that's 200. So it's 200 looks, but it's really only 6 plays. So as long as you keep it to 6 plays, and 1 play is, how to dissect a sub-market, how to identify the criteria, the defining characteristics, and how to say how many are under contract and how many are active. And that'll clear that up, clear as a bell. Okay? Any other questions? Morgan, I didn't get a lot of that. I'm confused. You must be pretty bright.
I mean,
Are you pretty bright or don't want us to talk?
I just think I'm pretty
hold this
bright.
yourself. That's my bad arm. You just think you're
I-
pretty bright?
I think you did a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't have many questions. And I'm pretty bright.
Well, don't do what Kelly does, and don't say anything, and then we get out, we'll go to a listing, and then we walk out the door of the listing, and then she will spew things at me about that listing. It's like, if you do have something, then you should tell me now, okay? Not in the car going home. No, I will say this. I really, here's the great thing about having Morgan and Kelly and Billy and Shayna and the young people on our team, that we are 60, some of us are now 60, which is the new 40, but you'll always see a 30-something walking into the house with us because those are our buyers. The 60-somethings are the sellers. The 30-somethings are the buyers. We're not...
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
The 30 wannabes. Well, wait a minute. You're in your 20s. Well, just a minute. Isn't something happening on December the 11th?
Yeah, 6 months from now.
Okay, so don't push it.
Yeah.
Okay. Soon to be 30-somethings. So we'll always have a 30-something or soon to be 30-somethings because they actually are the buyers. And it's funny because you need to set up your house when you're selling it for the 30-somethings. I don't care what you like. I care what they like. We need to set up for the 9 out of 10s. And it was so funny. Billy and I walk into a house, and it was the damnest paint you've ever seen. It's like, what? I said, we got to paint this whole house. He goes, the painters just left. I just painted the whole house. I said, what the hell did you paint it? He goes, they're Redskin colors, burgundy and gold. I want to sell to a Redskin fan. See, this is what happens when men don't have wives. When men don't have wives, they do stuff like painting a frickin' house Redskin colors because they think that's what's right. And I said, well, partner, I gotta go. I gotta go. Because and I said, well, we gotta repaint it. We're not repainting anything. We're selling this house these colors. I said, I gotta go because I can't sell. I mean, I'm pretty good at selling stuff, but I can't sell a house in Redskin colors. You paint that damn house. So some of these houses that are not prepared correctly are going to go through eight months of hell, and then they're going to have to finally put it in the correct thing, and then if they need to sell it, then they're going to have to do it. But I ain't going down that road with them. I'm too young. I always say, we only have limited amount of 3 things. What are they? Do you ever been to any of my meetings? Money, time, and energy. And my energy supply is getting a little lower. So I just don't have time to go on that journey with him of 6 to 8 months before he really is going to concede the fact that he shouldn't have painted his house Redskin colors, you know? So it's like, I just have to go. But this is advice to all realtors, Sampson Properties realtors, hopefully they're doing it. Don't be afraid to just say no, because a bad listing can sap your energy, time, and money. And you only have a limited supply of it. So if you in your heart know, this is not going to end well, and this is bad. We walk away from listings. You know, we try and help everybody, but you know, sometimes you just have to look at it and say it's just not for us. You know, we charge 4.5% because the homes are prepared to sell, they're priced correctly to sell. Got it. So you have a great house, it's in condition, you're going to be a reasonable seller. I can give you 4.5% because I know we can sell in a reasonable amount of time with a reasonable amount of energy. So a house that may need a ton or wait a long time or it's just we can't do it. You know, our just systems are not set up for it. I don't have the energy. I'm too old for that stuff, for that crap. So, you know, a lot of realtors may say, well, I don't have that many opportunities. You know, I just got to take what I can get. Well, if you spent the time that you're going to spend on that listing, if you spent the time, energy, and money, you could get 5 other opportunities for listings, as opposed to taking a bad listing. It takes your money, takes your time, and takes your energy. Take that time, energy, and money, go spend it somewhere else. Find a couple other listings. You know what I mean? So, all right. Anything else? Julie, anything? Everything good? Are you happy? So I will say, just bragging about our team, in May, since we last met, our team sold 5 of the top 7 houses in Vienna. And this man sold 1 of them. All right? Wes had one of them. Wes had Stryker. Billy had Airhill. Kelly had Hillcrest, which went for 1.75 that Morgan sold at the open house. What else did we have? We had Kelly sold 1.4 out on Hunter Station, and Shayna, bless her heart, sold a $3.8 million house on Little Fox Run. How's that? 3.8. So that's what you call ding ding. That is ringing the bell for the month of May. So, bless your heart. Thank you for all your support. Leslie, thank you very much. Julie, you do a great job setting this up. When you look at all these wonderful pages of VienaPricing.com, our listings online, this is Vienna. You've got Michelle Sampson, who's in the other room, my niece, and you've got Julie that do just a super job getting all this stuff together. And the reason our houses sell so quick is because not just the pricing and not just the, getting in the right shape, but really our marketing. And another thing I want to say with Julie, and this is new when you talk about marketing too, you need to learn about geofencing. So when you go into a house, you identify who the buyers are, they 30-somethings or 50-somethings. Is this a person that has kids or not has kids? We're listing a house with a pool. It's going to have to be sold to somebody with kids that are over 7 or 8 years old, or moms are going to worry about them jumping in the pool. So these are 40-somethings. So we would target 40-somethings from major employment centers that feed into our area. So Julie is in charge of doing all of our geofencing, all of our getting the marketing out. So if you're the target buyer for this house, you're going to see us on Instagram. You're going to see us on Facebook, and you're definitely going to see us on Twitter. And we're going to bring you to these beautiful Spark pages, and before you know it, you're at our open house and you're putting in a contract. So if you don't know about the Spark, Leslie's at least going to show you how the platform works. And if you're not using geofencing, you need to start looking into that, because Sampson does provide Facebook ads for most of the people, right? And boosts. So when you boost, you can target can you target your boosts? Your boosts? Yeah. So tell Leslie or tell our marketing team who are your clients you're trying to get, and she can customize your boost just for that. All right? We good? Thank you to the studio audience for coming. Thank you, Leslie and Julie, and thank you, Morgan. All right?